Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. I are playing Bogles, and this time is our last game in the league, and we are playing against a fervent champion Sunforger combo deck, which is a slightly obscure combo, a slightly odd one, made out of Javier Dominguez's, well, I suppose it's not an invitational card anymore, but his card from the fervent champion. So, yeah, it's a fairly interesting combo in which they equip Sunforger and then unequip it repeatedly and then start casting spells for free. Slightly odd one, but it does pay to be aware of these slightly obscure decks so you don't get blown out by them in modern matches from time to time. So I'll post a link to maybe the MTG Goldfish explanation of the deck, because it is slightly bizarre. So putting these off with Sacred Foundry, I'm going to keep this hand even though it's not ideal. I mean, 3 Daybreak Coronets isn't great, but Daybreak Coronet is a really good card for us, and as soon as we pick up another aura to go with it, we'll be in a fairly good position, I would hope. So just hoping that those cards come. So it's not really doing anything. We get to attack for 1 here with our Boggle. Play out Glade Cover Scout as well. One plays Fervent Champion. So this is the card we were talking about earlier. So yeah, the equip reduction ability is the relevant part of the card for the purpose of their combo. Unfortunately, we haven't found another aura yet. One plays another Fervent Champion. Attacks for 4. Because of the first strike, there's no real advantage to blocking here. Not that taking 4 damage is a real problem. Not really sure why I didn't crack this Windswept Heath earlier. Probably should have done, to just like thin our deck. But we have found the 1 mana aura that we were looking for, so we've got a Spider Umbra, and we can attack for, hook up the Daybreak Coronet, attack for 5, go up to 19, put it down to 12. Ethereal Armor and a second Daybreak Coronet, and I put Concede from there. I guess they're not really quite dead, but I suppose they need to start blocking, which is not ideal for them. So that is game 1 in the bag, and let's go to sideboarding. Okay, in terms of sideboarding against this deck, I suppose Suppression Field does work. So equipping is an activated ability, so I believe a Suppression Field does work to sort of anti their deck, to like sort of prevent their combo going off. So Suppression Field is fine in this matchup. Canonist is probably another option as well, as they basically storm off at the end once they've used their Sunforger. So that kind of works. Path to Exile is probably a good option as well. You can get rid of the Fervent Champions and deal with those. But I think probably our best option is Nature's Claim, so we can just destroy their equipment and then not have to deal with it. So I think those are the cards. I mean, probably Nature's Claim and maybe a Suppression Field are the main cards. If we're having real trouble, we might be able to bring in some extra cards. And I guess the Canonist is decent in this spot as well. In terms of cards we can take out, I mean, Ledgewalker doesn't really do much, except being another body, and we can probably cut a few of our sort of smaller, lower mana cost cards. But this matchup seems pretty good, I would say. Okay, so this is our opening hand for game 2. It's not ideal, but we have the Nature's Claim to answer their combo, and with another land, we are doing pretty well with this hand. And we've got a 1-drop Hexproof creature, so I think we're happy to keep this. One leads off with a champion, attacks for 1, which is fine. I'm going to lead off with a scout. But Stoneforge Mystic, which allows them to search up Sunforger if they so desire. They end up going for a sword instead, which makes me think that they presumably already have the Sunforger, but just going to be alert to that fact. Obviously, Stoneforge Mystic allows them to put the equipment onto the battlefield as well, so I think we want to be cautious with the way we use our mana here. So, we can play Griff's Boon, fly over for 2 and keep up our Nature's Claim. for now. Puts a Sword of War and piece onto the battlefield. Attacks for 1. That seems fine. Plays Giver of Runes, which is interesting. I'm going to stick my Rancors on this Glade Cover Scout and try and start killing our opponent. It's not ideal because obviously we would have preferred to put these Core Spirit Dancers with the Rancors and draw the extra cards, but I think we need to make sure that we don't die with Nature's Claim just stuck in our hand. So opponent attached to sword. There's a Sunforger that we were talking about, which is the combo piece. So we do need to answer that. I mean, I'm not fully sure that they can necessarily combo off just right here and right now, but it's definitely a risk. I assume they can. So we're going to Nature's Claim the Sunforger when the opponent tries to equip it. Still get to attack for 3 and hit us with the Sword of War and piece. Deals a bit of extra damage to us. I forget which one this one does. So yeah, so they gain some life. We take some extra damage. Run another Nature's Claim, which is nice. So we've got another answer. We can just drop a Core Spirit Dancer, keeping up Nature's Claim here. Still get the fly over for 6. Attacks for 3. We can't block because we only have white creatures. Go to 7. Draw Horizon Canopy. We'll play another Spirit Dancer down. Maybe we should just pop the Horizon Canopy in this situation. Not sure that Spirit Dancer is necessarily the ideal card. I suppose we can still draw a card off Horizon Canopy and then hopefully find an aura that can draw us 2 extra cards next turn. Because we are not dead just yet. So we'll get on to 3 here. Crack Canopy to find all that glitters, which I think is just about enough. So we get to draw 2 cards here. After casting all that glitters, another Nature's Claim and a Daybreak Coronet, and that's 10 damage in the air. Just enough to finish off our opponent. Apologies, that's my phone going off. So that yeah, 10 damage into the air, and that finished off our opponent. We still weren't dead here. We obviously had the Nature's Claim, so we could have dealt with the Sword of War and Peace, killed the Fervent Champion as well, if we so desired. I mean, holding back our Glade Cover Scout, I guess. So I think we were still in pretty good position, generally. I suppose we couldn't have killed the Fervent Champion because our opponent would have given runes to protect it from whatever colour was necessary, but yeah, that wraps everything up. I think this deck is... it's cool, it's like a cool deck, it's got some like interesting stuff going on, but I just feel like it's pretty bad generally. Like, I think it's probably like worse than Storm, because you need like specific cards and pieces. You're reliant on having equipment and a creature, which is fairly easy to kill and answer, so should someone want to. Yeah, I just think it's just far too vulnerable. So it's definitely a cool idea, cool thing to try out, but I just don't think the deck really holds up as a modern deck against real competition, I don't think. But it's, and yeah, it's hard to see the advantages over other combo decks that just are a lot more consistent and can be a lot more powerful. So yeah, it's a cool deck, and worth knowing about just in case you happen to run into it. But yeah, slightly obscure and a little bit too easy to disrupt, I think.